So today you lunged him ahead of time, and to the
I
right.
gave him a warm-up.
Okay, and did you lunge and to the right? Did you get some submission to the right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, all right, good. So,
And he feels different today.
okay, all right.
He's definitely, and I also just warmed him up in the canter a bit too.
Okay,
So I think that he's a little looser.
all right. So if he's, yeah, and what we won't do, because it's difficult enough to get him on the bit, especially to the right, is I don't think you want to come up, well, it depends, I guess. You can come up rising, but we won't do the 2-point exercise because I think that just then disconnects from the hand and then it's hard. But that is something you want to, practice a little bit on your own. But what the long and short of it is what you've got to do is you've got to work on watching your position that you don't come forward in the shoulders and getting the leg long, and underneath your hip, because you don't want to crouch up, all right? And if he's coming into your, if you feel him in the hand, you've got to kind of, drop your thigh down, close your thigh, and make sure, you see me put that lunge line around the rider, back. You've got to, hold that with your core, and don't let don't let him pull through your arms. All right. So when you're ready, you might as well go up into the trot, rising or sitting. I really don't care. If if you're comfortable enough to go right to the sitting, we'll work on your seat right off the bat. Yeah. So now watch, because you're a little bit round-shouldered, and then you're kind of sitting. You're not letting yourself sit down deeper into the trot. Yeah. Now, but you've got to pick your toe up, so get the back of your leg to stretch down. That's better. Yeah. And then try to keep, if you can, then make your foot more parallel, like the snowplow skiing thing. Right. Then that would be better. Right. And now watch, then another thing is be careful you don't tip over slightly to the, dropping your shoulders to the right. Try to stay parallel. Now if he feels okay and you can go large, go large. But don't lean forward, stay straight, yeah. And make sure the reine's coming into your, it's almost like if he goes to pull, you feel like he's going to pull you over the pommel with your hips. You're not going to just tip you forward and break you over at the waist. Yeah, and try not to go too fast.
Yeah, I know.
But at least he's on the bit. That's the, Now watch your foot position. Yeah, and then keep the shoulders back and down. Make sure you don't let him pull the shoulders forward and then roll your shoulders forward. Stay back in the upper body. So there, the tempo's better, and he's on the bit. That's fine. It's good, yeah. Now just try to keep the rhythm. Yeah. Shoulders back more, yeah. That's it, like that. That's better. See, put the shoulders back more. Okay. Now, if you want, cross the diagonal. We'll work a little bit on the left side, yeah. Don't jackknife at the waist, where you fold. You've got to keep your upper body back a little bit further, not leaning back, but straight. And don't let them pull your shoulders around. Keep your shoulders back so you feel the reine's coming right into your hips. And then you can go large in the left hand, yeah. Toe up though. Yeah. And then watch your high back, your upper body, yeah. And then try to just keep the rhythm. Right. 1, 2, yeah. But be careful when you regrip the rein. Don't pull your shoulders forward again. Keep your shoulders back. Upper body, that's better. That's better. There, more like that, Cheri, yeah. And then watch the tempo, yeah. And try to have your hands steady. But don't let him put, the big thing you have to watch is that you tip over up top, you lean to the right a little bit, and you just let him pull your shoulders forward. You've got to think about keeping your elbows back and like that. And have the rein come right, a little bit more into your hips and not let your upper body get pulled over or tipped over into position. Okay. Now maybe 20-meter circle. Yeah, watch your high back. Stay back and stay seated more. Yeah. And then walk. Go walk a little bit. So now watch, but not like that. No, yeah, on the bit.
Can I give him a little bit of a break from the?
Not from the shape. It's like never. It's never once. It's like what would you if you had a big guy with a big fat beer belly and he goes to sit down in a chair and you say, now can I just let him eat some more food and let him stick his stomach out?
Stretch a little bit.
Stretch is one thing. She can stretch, but he's got to stretch round. You can never let a horse drop out of its posture. You have to it has to keep the back up. Now I don't care if you're on the buckle. You can be on the buckle, but you have to be round. You can't let him poke his nose out and
How do you do that?
you keep your contact. Take the contact. You can slip.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So he can be on the contact, but he just needs to be. Okay, he wasn't on the contact when I let go like that.
No, it's not. That's not the right terminology. What has happened is when you let him go, you let his head come up in the air and his back drop down. His stomach falls to the floor and he's totally hollow.
Okay.
You can't ever put the rider's weight on the middle of the horse's back and let it drop down. It has to always be supported. So now you could take your reins and you could go long and low. You could even lean forward and put your hands down toward his shoulders, and you could let him go on the buckle, but he'd have to keep his back up. So he has to be in a kind of a round shape.
Got it. Okay, I understand.
Yeah. So resting is fine. I don't care, but you can't let him go because every time he hollows his back out, and throws his head up, then we're in trouble, and then it's damaging to the horse.
Okay.
Now, just for example, if you want to be like you say, you want to let the neck out, go ahead and practice now, letting the neck out a little bit, but let it out slowly. So he can't be rude and snatch the rein out of your hand. The old timers used to say the horse has to chew the reins out of your hand. It has to go gently forward, and then he can stretch his back out, but he's got to stay around. And you would go to a lower hand. And it could get wider and lower, but then theoretically, the better the horse is trained, the horse will accept it, stretch out a little bit, then you gather it back up, it comes back up, it gets in the right working posture.
Okay. That I didn't realize.
Okay. Now, the other thing is you have to, on your position, what you do is you get the wrong position in your thigh, so that your seat is always up out of the saddle. You're never down into the saddle. You've got to turn your thigh in, and it's not that you would have grip in the thigh, but you have to have good contact in the thigh, and your toe up, and you've got to get your leg a little bit further under you, so the position is more stance-like, so that you feel, you're working the trampoline like that, up and down, and not get so you're gripping against it, and then he pulls you over, and then it's like. That's what I mean by jackknifing the waist. You get broken over here. And it's like that. You've got to have your pelvis feel like it's pushed up forward. And if you would run into an imaginary wall, it's not true, but you feel like you would almost run into it with your pelvis, not your face, which would be tipped forward, or not even your knee, So now pick your toes up. Yeah. And keep your knee, you're folded a little bit, your knee, and your heel underneath, yeah. And now your seat is down now in the saddle. And then your glutes should be soft. So you feel like even if you didn't have any rear end at all, whatever you have would be squashed out behind you. You never want to let your glutes get tight and then curl your coccyx, your tailbone underneath. It should be open, and that way it's allowing you to be as deep as you can onto your hips. Now you have to watch then take it all the way up to your high back, yeah, and don't let yourself slouch up top, and then feel the rein is right into your hip. Now, I'll show you here how it feels. You can slip the rein. We've done this before. Just make it longer and longer till your hands are kind of attached to your hip sockets. Yeah, keep going. Let him go till your hands literally come all the way to your hip sockets. Yeah, like that. Right. See, and now now you would put the horse on the bit by feeling, yeah, but you're leaning over to the right. Stay straight. Try to stay straight. But you really want to feel that the rein is connected to your seat, and you put the horse on the bit more with your back. So when you engage your back, you abs, and you pick your toe up, then that puts a bit of compression, right? So but that's you want to feel that see the reins come there. Now you can reel them into more normal, but don't let them feel when you reel them in that you let the elbow get extended, and then it pulls your shoulder over, and then it takes all the strength out of your position. Okay. Now with the shoulder, with the toe up and the shoulders back, and feeling like your hips are pressed almost against the pommel, go back and find a collected trot, a working trot sitting. And keep your toe up, and try not to lean to the right. Stay level in your shoulders. Yeah, that's better, Cheri. Yeah. All right. And that's a decent tempo. Just dump, 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 yeah. Now, on this big circle, large circle, now close the thigh, use more abs, and go to the walk. And then walk, 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 steps, and then back up to the trot. And do like maybe a half a dozen of these trot-walk transitions, trying to feel like you're practicing a clutch when you're trying to learn how to drive a standard shift. This in and out, okay? Sit down, shoulders up, right? Yeah, toe up, pick your toes up. Yeah, you got to get that calf stretched out and that leg underneath you. And then on the bit, and then, nice forward trot. Shoulders, shoulders, that's better. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, right. Yeah, and then trot, like maybe 3 or 4 more. Yeah, and remember, when you take him on the bit, don't think you pull him on the bit and pull your shoulders forward. Think you're taking the rein like as if you were taking it just like we did a minute ago into your hips, into your seat. Yeah, better. A little rounder, but then more back. Yeah, sit down. Yeah, and you sort of push him into your hand. Yeah. Don't let him tip you over. Sit up, yeah. If he knows he can tip you over, then that's what he's going to do. So he's just going to take over and rush. You've got to close that thigh and anchor yourself so that you feel like he is not going to pull through me. Watch your shoulders. You're too far forward. That's it, yeah. Keep trying to wrinkle the shirt behind your shoulder blades, yeah. And then once more. And toe up, and then you just kind of press with your hips. Hold steady in the tempo. Yeah, you close your thigh. Don't tip over, right. Yeah, better. All right, now switch to the left, and let's do half a dozen trot walks left. Toe up now, yeah. So remember, toe up, and don't let your shoulders get pulled around. Keep your, the shirt in back of your shoulder blades, keep, kind of wrinkled. Yeah, now toe up, and then, toes up, yeah. When that toe gets down, you let your quads all loosen up, and then you go into that kind of odd kneely thing where you're not putting your heel down and then keeping your adductors engaged. Yeah, now shoulders, yeah. Don't move it off with your shoulders. Move it off with your hips. Yeah, you're raiding him all the time with your shoulders. Yeah, and then a nice even rhythm. Dump, dump. And you're trying to keep your seat deep. And just keep thinking, you got to pick your toe up. Don't let that toe drop down and let that leg relax. You've got to keep tension in it. That's better. Okay? Yeah. Shoulders, yeah. Yeah, he's always trying to work through your shoulders. Don't let him get through your shoulders. Okay. Toe up, come on. Yeah, kick that toe up. Yeah, you got to get that calf, stretch that calf out. But watch your upper body. That's, better. 2 more. Shoulders, yeah. Push it off with the lower leg, yeah. Okay, and 1 more. Shoulders. Okay, and walk. All right, so now we can take a little break. Yeah, so that's better. So the question would come up, and we did a little interview yesterday, and the question would come up, so in a way, why would you go through all this trouble of learning this position and learning this really good balance? Why struggle with this other than for some aesthetic reason? Well, in dressage, there's a very practical reason and an important reason, and that is, the question was, is there a difference between dressage and other equestrian sort of activities? And the answer is, yes, there is. There's a huge difference. And that is that all equestrian activities, whether it's reining or whether it's, fox hunting, whatever it is, they're all of the training of horses is basically, it's cue-based or kind of associative-based. And you would give a horse incentives, positive or negative, in order to train it, just to condition it. You could do that. You could do it as great liberty trainers do. You can even do it with your voice, and they can have the horses do all kinds of tricks and so forth simply with their voice. They don't even have to be physically connected to the horse. Now, on all riding, no matter what you do, it has the same problem as when you get onto it, is that you have this problem of inertia, that the horse is essentially weighing 10 times what the human being does. And if the horse plants its feet and stops, no matter how strong you are with your leg, I don't care how much you kick, if the horse really doesn't want to go, it will not move. You will not be able to move it with the force of your body. And all you have to do is take up a venting and ride your horse down to the water, and it doesn't want to go in the water, and you can see it. Flail away all you want, but that horse isn't jumping in if it doesn't want to. So you train it systematically through giving it these incentives to move forward. Now, everything stays the same until in dressage something happens at a certain point where the rider now is not outside the balancing system of the horse, whereas you would be in all these other activities. The horse will move even if you're out of balance if you give it the incentive or the cue. Now, when you get to the highest levels of dressage, let's say you'll get to a levade, where now the horse is precariously balancing over 2 feet. Now it's different, because if the rider is in bad position and tips sharply over, whatever, you'll knock the horse out of the levade. It won't be able to do it. Or if the same thing, if you're in a really good canter pirouette and you're in poor position and you wrench it over, you're probably going to destroy the pirouette. At that point, now you come what the old timers were always talking about, it's kind of a cliche, but you become one with your horse. Now you are actually a part of the balancing mechanism. The horse is not doing it on these cues anymore. You and the horse actually are joined together and do the movement together. And if one or the other of you fail, it shows up in the movement. So you now become, the rider does not have you get into a realm where the rider doesn't have the center of gravity of a two-legged person on the ground anymore, and the horse doesn't have its sort of center of balance and center of gravity of the four-legged anymore. There's something new going on. And that's what all of those, when you read constantly all the old timers talk about, you want to become one with your horse, you want to do airs above the ground, you want to do these jumps. That's really what started them, because that, in the beginning, that's what they were really interested. They were interested in the jumps, so that it's always precariously balanced, and they had to try to learn to be able to help in that jump or stay with it and so forth, and not be an impediment. So how can you possibly ask a horse to balance on its hind legs if the rider doesn't have a sense of good balance in themselves? So now we come back full circle, and then you come back to the basics in the beginning of riding. That's why you have to spend so much time. If you aspire to do, the highest levels of dressage, you would have to do all this work on balancing and get your position as perfect as you can, because it's going to, right now, it's not so critical. A big, strong horse like that, he actually can go around even if you're falling off. If we could put him in side reins, and we could make him into a vaulting horse, and people can jump on him, they can do flips off of him, they could do anything they want on him. That horse is so strong. But if you keep training, or you try to train to high levels of dressage, and even if you don't get there, that's really what you should be trying to do. And that's what I'm always trying to teach. I'm not teaching vaulting, or I'm not even teaching eventing position anymore. What I'm teaching is that I'm not going to make the decision for a rider where you're going to stop. But I'm just saying that what I'm not going to do is develop a system of teaching that I know full well has a ceiling on it, and that if one of these students would have the ability, they would not be able to go further, She's not here today, but the interesting young woman, and I've never forgotten this story because it happened, I taught her for a long time, and she was a very good, she might be embarrassed, but I won't mention any names, but she was a very good musician, and she was here out in the Midwest, not here, that this is the Midwest, but she was in the middle of the country, and let's just say that what she didn't have was the very best instruction in the beginning, but she was very good. So she had won an audition or something. It was a place like Juilliard, and and so she thought she was the best around here. Not here. I'm not saying but just imagine my story. She was the best around where she was. So she gets now to New York or Juilliard or to it could have been one of the a really good music university, and she goes for this audition, and the person at the audition says, yeah, you're pretty good, whatever, but do you know that you play everything a half tone off? Well, she was like totally mortified, It's like, how do you get that far and nobody recognizes you are a half tone off and you are supposed to be a professional musician? Now, the sad thing is that she quit playing. She couldn't just start all over again and go back. It was like, it was just going to be too much, That's what I think about a lot when I... Shh, I told you, we're not supposed to know who this is. Baker, you always do this. Shh. God.
Don't tell her a secret.
I know. I can imagine. She must be the worst. A secret. She wouldn't even get out the door. You have to tell her the wrong secret, so she would go off in a different direction. Yeah. Anyway, the point is that I've always felt in the training that I'm trying to do is that I don't want to put the riders, I don't want to make a decision that this rider can only get to this level. It's like, I don't really care. That's your business. If you want to practice hard or you don't want to practice hard, I don't care. But that's not how I'm going to teach. So I'm not going to let you, if I see, a fault, I don't expect that the rider's going to be able to cure every fault or you're going to ride perfectly. But what I'm not going to do is just come into the lesson and just ignore it. I'm going to make you aware of it and that, should you try to ride the Levad one day, you're not going to be able to do it when you ride like that. You know what I mean? So I try to make everybody aware of it. And that's kind of the philosophy that I have behind it. But it's based on this notion of, not basically, looking at riders and then making an arbitrary decision that you're only this good. It's like, you be as good as you can. And in a sense, the way I teach, it can come off the wrong way, but people would say, why don't you get frustrated or whatever. The point is, and you know what? It's really not up to you, because I'm going to teach for myself. If you get it, that's great. If you don't get it, that's your problem. But I know I have to teach to the certain standards that I teach. And so, in the end, I don't think anyone could have ever seen any one of my clinics and said, after lunch, Paul has a glass of wine and the lessons are different. Well, I don't. I love drinking, but I have never had one drink throughout a clinic. And I don't care if I have the flu. It's like the last lesson will be, I will pay as much attention to the last lesson as the first lesson. I know I'm going on too much, but sometimes I feel you have to understand the philosophy behind it because it'll make sense sometimes of why is he getting stuck on this certain point or whatever, and let that go. Well, sometimes I feel you can't let it go because it's integral in advancing. Anyway, the moral of the story is that's why I was so strict on position, and very often in clinics when they're over 2 days, the first day I really try to concentrate on position of the rider more than anything else since I know that will be a limiting factor. And then the second day, it's not that I have forgotten about position, but then we'll go to the horse and work more on the horse. So sometimes that's just so you understand a little bit the way I teach or whatever. So anyway. All right, so now what we should do is work a little bit on the canter then, huh? All right, so now remember when you put the stirrups on, you can't start pinching. You've got to keep the length to the leg, and stay balanced over your seat, and don't jackknife in the waist. Keep your hips down. Just before you go, hang on, one other thing. One of the crucial things that you and the people who have seen me teach before know that I harp on this over and over again. But you have to remember that the position is stance-like. It's not seated. That's where so much of it goes wrong because you get in the saddle and you feel like you should be sitting. Well, you can't. It's like you go back to the Duke of Newcastle and he said, most people think they're supposed to sit upon their buttocks, but they're not. They're supposed to sit on their twist. If you read all of the literature over and over again, you will see Garnier says, farmers ride with their calves. You ride really well, you ride with your thigh. You have to get your thigh on there. So there'll be this stance-like position becomes crucial to balance, and you've got to get it where your upper body is straight and your thighs turned inward and you're riding through that whole wishbone and you're not gripping with the calf and the leg is long and then you're balancing. All right, so now probably from the sitting trot, right? Yep. And then you'll go into the canter, okay? And just don't, just try to get a couple circles if you can and then back to the trot. Okay, so now you're going to try to, I would lower my hand a little bit and try to get him on the bit, okay? And then when you get up in the canter, you can't change your position and tip forward. You've got to keep the same, as if you were riding without stirrups.
I know. That's hard for me.
Okay. Don't pinch all up, yeah. You let your leg go down, yeah. And get your seat bones deep. All right, enough, and then come down to the trot, okay. All right. And then walk.
I have a tendency to lean to the right in this direction.
Yeah, you lean to the right, but worse than the leaning to the right is what you do is you do this. Here, sit, stop now, walk. So you'll be in a stance-like position, and then look what you're doing. Immediately what you do is you take hold of the reins and you tip forward like this, and your leg comes forward, and you do this. And then you start riding like this, and what you want to do is open the whole posture up like that. So you feel like you're opening, not when you're, as you go to the canter, not closing and shrinking the front down, but in fact opening the front up. The shoulders stay tall, you don't tip forward, and you feel like this. When you strike off in the canter, you don't lean into it with your shoulders, you stay upright, and then as if you step into the right stirrup and your weight aids come forward and your pelvis, and that horse comes into the canter. That's the gesture, like you're fencing. It's not like you're crunching. It's you're fencing, step into it. Now try to keep the leg down. Yeah, and you're already rolling your shoulders. Yeah. So you've got to sit up, put your shoulders back. Yeah, that's all right. He was good. Yeah.
He knows, yeah, I know.
All right. Now walk. Okay. All right, go ahead. Now put your shoulders back and try to get your butt down in the saddle, right? And then pull your toe up. And try not to pump in your arms. Yeah. Keep your hand, the hand coming to your seat. Yeah. A little more rein play there. You try to make him round. Okay. Now watch your upper body now. So when you come into canter, try not to tip forward too much at all, but just, yeah. Now keep your hands down a little bit lower. And don't grip too much with the leg, with the lower leg. Yeah. You have to swing more with your hips. Okay. Right. That's all right. Yeah. And then now go back to the sitting trot and fix your position. And now another transition. Yeah. So you've got to train the body through repetition. Yeah. Now transition with your no to walk.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Now upper body tall. Now practice the trot walk transitions again. So you're getting the rein into your back and not tipping forward. And imagine that you would strike off now. You see, you would put your leg deep, your legs would go deep, and then you would kind of push almost your left seat bone toward the horse's left ear a little bit, and then you would just kind of step into the saddle. Yeah. Now, imagine that you're cantering, but just trot. Yeah. Get the head down, shoulders back, and then trot. And don't let the horse, he's already tipped you forward. Your shoulders come forward, and then he doesn't come into your waist, into your hip. And try to keep your toe up. Yeah. Now just practice your trot walk transitions. Now toe up, yeah, but you're way on point. Yeah. Now the toe has to stay up, and you've got to keep that upper body tall and practice these transitions till you do them with your seat. And some leg, of course, but on the bit, but you don't let them, rip through your hands. Yeah. Shoulders back and down, toe up. Still more shoulders. Yeah, exaggerated. Yeah. Like that. See, you're going to have to when you think it's right, just go make it into what you think is a parody. But you're going to have to really exaggerate it to break out of that rolling forward position.
Yeah, that's a big issue with me. A lot of times I think I'm back.
Yeah.
And if I go by the mirror, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, and you're not alone. No, yeah, that's better. Yeah, right. And then walk. Yeah. And I was sitting in the hotel thing, and just because I was waiting, I watched something on the television, and it happened to be about volleyball players, women volleyball players, and the two sort of stars they're following. The biggest thing that both of them said is how much they watched films. They watch films nonstop. They watch films of themselves and everything. And that's what everybody does now. You have to, or ballet dancers, you work in front of the mirror constantly, but you need it to see that image, because your body lies to you. You can't go on what you're feeling. Your feeling is not right. Now go the other way and just practice the trot walk transitions, working on position, and don't let your shoulders go into it, and lean forward at all in the chest. Push with your pelvis. You're way back in the shoulder. You're crunched up. Open up. It's like you're taking the reins and like oars and pull the oars back to your solar plexus. More.
I feel so goofy.
Well, to me, when you ride the other way, you look goofy. You break in half. You make yourself look like you're 4 feet tall. The horse is running away with you. He pulls through you. He has no respect. You're not using your core strength. Yeah, that looks decent. Now pick your toes up, because I'm getting tired of telling you to put your toe up because you're always on point. It's not ballet.
I know, I have a ballet toe.
Yeah, well, get rid of it.
It's really good for swimming.
Yeah. Well, we're not swimming now. Shoulders. Yeah. Toe up and shoulders back, and fix your posture. Because you've got to be able to learn, you've got to get some muscle memory of this is where it's on your own. Because I'm going to go home in a little while. Shoulders, back, down. Get your seat deep. Now, don't forget the transition. Because you can use the transition to keep on retraining your body, not to give up. But when you walk, you here, this is you. Here, look. You're trotting, then you walk. Boom. It's like, canter, boom, even worse.
Well,
it's like,
will be good to see the film.
yeah. Okay, now I can get you fixed. Watch on the film. Yeah, and then you've got to remember how to get there. Now you're 3 degrees forward. Right. That's right. Now get your shoulders back, open them up, and then have the rein come into your hips. Keep your chin in tiny bit, slightly. Your chin in. I'm going to be like Kodos and tell you to put a martingale on this thing. Okay. And then watch your shoulder. Pick your toe up now. Toe up. Yeah. Now sit back on your back pockets a tiny bit, just a little bit. Sit, but open your shoulders. Shoulders back. More. You're still too far forward. Come back. Okay. Walk a little. Yeah. Now pick your toe up and do this. You've got to get your shoulders back. Elbows back, yeah. No, you lean forward. You let him pull your arms forward. Come on, shoulders back. Toe up. More, back more. Sit down, yeah, like that. That's better. Stay back there now. That's better. Stay back there. Stay back there. Shoulders. Now that's getting better, getting closer, yeah. And then he just has to behave. Okay, walk, go the other way a little bit, and we'll try the other side.
Yeah, I can feel the shift back here. I was more planted.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then keep contact with your adductors, so you're keeping your legs solid in their position is solid, yeah. And then now pick your toe up. Yeah, you're letting that. Don't let that leg drift out in front of you. It has to be a straight line shoulder hip heel. So your heel is under your hips. Now open up your chest a little bit more. Yeah, that's better. Now stay there. Open up. Stay there. Open up. Yeah, even if you feel like you're leaning backward a little bit, stay open like that. And then have the rein just quietly come into your hips, but not into your pulling your shoulders over. Hold it with your core. And then make a walk transition. Yeah. And then again. Shoulders back. And then rhythm, yeah. Now further open your shoulders a little bit more. Yeah, that's better. Yeah. So you have to open the chest like that and then, yeah. Open up. That's better. Good. Yeah. And toe up. Shoulders. Yeah. Yeah. Better. That's better. That's better. Yeah. Better. Yeah. Whoops. Toe up. Yeah. Better. Pick your toes up. Yeah. Okay. That's better. Yeah. Okay. And walk. Take a little break then. Yeah. Little breather, and then we'll go again. Yeah. A little bit? Yeah, sure. Okay. Okay. Can you tell? Is that better? Okay. Okay, so when you're ready, let's try it again. We'll just try to zero in on that position, really nail that down. Shoulders back, more. Even a little bit more. Yeah, without leaning back too far, you're just putting the shoulder, right. You don't want to lean back, you just want to bring the shoulders back and open the chest up, And then don't when you do that, you're sitting down, your glutes are soft, you're not tightening up your glutes, but you've got to pull your leg back underneath you. So again, your stance like, you're not going to, that's better, toe up, that's better. Yeah, steady. Toe up. That's pretty good. Okay? If he were to be a little more generous. Okay, go large. Yeah. Okay, so now go large and try to keep that position going large. Okay. Okay, toe up. Yeah. And then stay back in your shoulders, right? And then find that sitting trot. And then you're going to go large.
I'll go large?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now toe up, shoulders. That's better, yeah. And the reins, like that. Feel like you're into your hips a little bit. Toe up, and you go large, yeah. Now don't lean over. See, when you get in trouble, don't lean over. That's where, that's the same thing on a counter transition or whatever. Don't lean over. Try to become even straighter. And keep your chin in a little bit. Yeah, don't look in the mirror. Yeah, that's much better, Cheri. Yeah. Steady, yeah. And then even if he roots around, just try to hold your position. Yeah, and that's it. Yeah, and look in the mirror, yeah.
Yeah, the mirror's helping.
Yeah. Okay, go around again, once more around. Toe up. Yeah, now, and even look over when you're on that wall, glance over the mirror on the other side like that. Every time usually the rider looks up in the mirror, they'll straighten the whole posture up. Yeah, and when he gets, rough, you just try to hold your position. Shoulders back a little more, don't tip forward. Keep the rhythm, 1, 2, 3, 4. Toes up. Yeah. Toe up a little more. Can you get your calf to stretch out a little bit more? Use your shin, pull your toe up. Yeah. And then keep your shoulders back. Okay. And then push him off with your seat and some leg, but don't rock forward at all in your upper body. Yeah, that's better. Keep your upper body back. Yeah. And then you try to get him on the bit. But you just stay straight in your upper body. Toe up. Okay, and then walk. All right. So now pick up your stirrups. Let's go back to the rising trot a little bit and just work on the posture in the rising trot. Okay. And now we'll go large in rising trot. But be careful now. Remember, your hips are going to come forward and back, but they're going to take your helmet up to the sky. They don't want to just rock back and forth underneath you. You're going to stand up and almost toward that 2-point position in every stride. Okay. All right. So remember, you're standing up over your leg. Your pelvis comes forward, and you pushes your helmet up into the sky. Your back is straight, and your leg is underneath you. Yeah. But don't let your helmet go up into the don't tip your head back. Keep your chin in so the beak of your helmet stays straight. Right. That's better. Yeah. Now just we can get him on the bit, then it would be great. That's better. Yeah. And just don't let him. Yeah. Keep the shoulders open and this whole spine line straight. And every time you rise, remember, when you're up there, you're letting your hamstring stretch out, you're letting your ankle relax and let the heel drop down. You're letting the ankle relax, but you're keeping it kind of firm. so that it stretches it out. You don't want to let it wobble. And cross the diagonal, and then a little bit on the left side. Yeah. So there, don't lead with the shoulders again. Yeah, lead with your hips. Yeah. That's it. You're almost pressing in with your hips, right? That's better upper body, yeah. So that's way better in the upper body, both in the sitting there and now the rising, yeah. Now try not to let your legs swing each time, If he needs to, tap him with your foot or squeeze with the leg, but then make sure you don't get in a habit of like squeezing every time, you sit, squeeze. Don't do that, You try to use more of the push up when you drive your pelvis forward, that he follows the weight aids forward. And you're just, use your leg only when you need it. Try not to use it every moment. Then they get better about it. Yeah, and then go large. The shape there is good. If you would keep that shape all the time, it would be good. Now remember, you sort of stand, push with your push, yeah. And you push him into the bridle. And watch you don't drop your right shoulder. Yeah. And just the nice rhythmic motion. Up, yeah. And he's following that. As your femur comes forward and your pelvis swings forward, he follows that motion. Once more around, yeah. All right, and then walk. And then let's now finish. Let's go back sitting trot and try to finish just to give you a reminder of where that good position is. Don't let the shoulders come forward. Keep the shoulders back and down. Don't tip. Whatever you do, don't tip. Lead it off with your hips and keep your upper body back. That's better, yeah, right. And then try to keep your heel down now. Even with the stirrup on, you've got to let your leg come behind you and keep the heel down. Shoulders, yeah. Rein into your hips, yeah. That's better. That's better. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and walk. All right. And if he just does this, constantly flips his head while you're trying, put a martingale on him. I agree. Put a running martingale on him, because you can't practice with him constantly flinging his head like that. And he's just, and then every time he does that, he wrenches his back. You can't get a rhythm going. And you're trying to, you need to get something stable there so you can practice. He keeps throwing you off all the time. It's like, it's impossible. But still, that was much better in the position. So you just think, when you're working without the stirrups, think you've got to keep that toe up. You can't go with that ballet leg. And then, remember, what feels like you'll be almost leaning backward. And you can just zing by the mirror like that, yeah, and check it out that you're, right, keeping the whole upper body open, without tipping back, but just that you don't lead, when you go to do a movement or a transition, don't lead by stepping into it with your shoulders. Think, into it with your hips and your pelvis, more with your lower body.
Okay.
Yeah. The thing in riding, now it's so very trendy to talk about core strength, and there's a million core exercises, and everybody throws the term around. But it was really in riding, that was the initial problem in riding all along, and that's why when we actually have our own language for it, but when you say seat to people who really know riding, they know it means from your knee to your ribs. That's a core thing. That means you have to connect the upper and lower body. And and that's always been the problem and the challenge of riding, and the difficulty to make that midsection really connected and solid so that it doesn't break or twist this way or that way. It's got to become really solid. Okay, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. All right. You can clap, yeah.